What is going on, guys? We are here. We are back. We are live. This is the UFC 307 betting show here with the Fight Numbers crew. And again, just quick housekeeping notes. We are on my channel. This does not mean I'm not going to be doing my usual weekly betting videos. That hopefully will be out by tomorrow night. This is just in addition to that. So yeah, just wanted to clear that up in case anybody asks any questions. But gents, how we doing? We got a big pay-per-view. What's going on, guys?
We're here in October. Soon we will hit the sports equinox. Every major sport in in play, including UFC, and we got a big card here off a nice Paris card last week. So vibes are high. How are you guys feeling?
Yeah, I feel good. Had a solid night in Paris. Came away with a few units, some good reads. Yeah, I like. Me and Jon came through with that Perez play. I know we had a little argument on stream.
That fight played out exactly how we thought it was going to play out. Like,
pretty much,
he was going to get dropped in the first round. He's going to try and claw it back, and then they'll have a competitive third round. And a funny fight.
It was always Perez.
Always,
I was on ZM at plus money, which was super easy. Cavalcanti was my biggest play of the card, and that was like a little sweaty, but
not even.
Yeah, I mean, dude, my heart dropped when they read.
Dude, when they said split,
like,
dude, I was sick.
It was funny because everyone was like congratulating me on the play before it even got read, and
that's the worst.
Yeah,
yeah.
I hate compare. Just for the same exact thing, the Tuivasa Rosenstruck one where I hammered the decision, and I'm like, everyone's like, "Fuck, you're so bro, that was a crazy play, plus 800." I'm there, and I hear split, and my whole mood was just like, my heart dropped. I was just sitting here like, I didn't even feel good after.
It's
I didn't
like
feel good about the cash.
Judges these days are unreal.
Oh, it is so bad.
And also, reminder, guys, Utah, there's not fights hosted there every week, from what I understand. My girl's really into Mom Wives or whatever the Mom Talk, whatever that show is, based in Utah with Mormons. But they don't do a lot of MMA over there, so be careful or invest in split decision props. We know we like to do that.
Ozzy, I think your mic is cracking because
when you're moving your hands, it's a little crackly. It's like Rice Krispie treats, bro.
You have it's an AirPod or something.
So the other thing I was going to add before we get into the card,
it's the hoodie.
Is you guys know the newer version is very interactive. So everyone in the chat, we're not going like fight by fight in order. We're going based on what you guys want to hear. So whatever fight matchups you want us to talk about and other questions, betting related, put them in the chat. We'll get to them in order as they come through. The other thing I was going to say is this fight you mentioned is in Utah with the Mormons. What else do they have other than Mormons? Elevation. This fight is at Elevation. And you guys know we have some historical data at FightNumbers.com that I put together manually that basically went back and tracked every fight at elevation above, I believe the criteria was 5,000 feet above sea level or higher. And I did that over the last 10 years. I still need to update it, which I'll do tonight from the last card. But a lot of interesting tidbits there. Basically see among certain weight classes, we see more submissions and decisions. So some overs and submissions and knockouts are way down relative to the historical baseline at non-elevation cards. So wanted to touch on that before we get started. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys joining us. Like I said, whatever fights you want us to discuss, definitely get it in the chat and we'll get it rolling. As we let more people come in and kind of fire off our questions. Anybody want to kick us off here?
Are we going to wait for someone to ask us about?
Yeah, well, we got some coming in. I just didn't know if there was one that you were itching to get to. It looks like Tristan wants to hear Means versus McGee. He said fight at elevation seems like an under. I actually kind of was peeping the overs there. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I think GTD's in like the minus 150 range. Couple of old vets, both guys. I know the durability is starting to become more of a question, but historically McGee super durable. Means kind of the same thing. I know They're both, 40 years old, or McGee turns 40 in a couple months here. So they're definitely on the tail end of their career. Could be a retirement fight, but I don't really see a finish happening here. I don't know if you guys have a different take on that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think I would opt for the ghost distance instead of the over, just because the difference in it's about 45 cents in pricing there. But yeah, Court McGee is from Utah. He's a long time trained out of there, and Tim Means also, he's like from Albuquerque, I believe, which is a bit at elevation as well. I don't think as high as Salt Lake City, but it is definitely at altitude. Initially though, I definitely lean towards the Court McGee side. It's been bet down a bit. It opened in the 195 to 200 range. It's sitting 165, 170. I think even so at 170, it's not the worst play to get on Court McGee, but because I just think that Tim doesn't have the same power that he usually has, and he's probably not going to be able to keep Court away from him in terms of the wrestling. And he usually tries to counter wrestle from time to time as well. So I could see these guys trading some positions in the clinch, and Court McGee's just tenacity winning out in a fight where he's not fighting a guy who's really mobile like Alex Morono, and is a little slower and even older than him. I think Tim Means might actually be older. I'm not sure though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I might bet over on every fucking fight this week. Like, I don't see a lot of finishes, honestly.
Same.
You better hedge with the sub 2-3 on all of them, given the trends.
Yeah, I know. A lot of these fights stylistically don't really seem like they're fights that are going to finish. Like, I'm going through the card, and it seems like the EV side is to bet the over on a lot of them. And yeah, this fight, I'm not going to have anything on it. So, I would probably take the over instead of either money line. I don't really feel passionate about either side. I just don't want to get involved in this fight with two 40-year-olds. But if anything, I would be on the over.
We're probably due for a UFC card with all decisions. That happened once, I believe.
We got Alex Pereira fighting last, so I don't know if that's
yeah.
Maybe not.
We got a few others in the chat. I mean, I don't know why you guys always make it sexual. I ask for questions, I ask for what fight matchups, and everybody wants to see Chad shirtless. People are asking about Ozzy. I got my guy Lou in here asking personal questions about Ozzy. Let's hear some fight matchups. What do you guys want to hear? It looks like Derek Phillips wants to, or he thinks Ehor is going to sleep this kickboxing fraud. I don't know. Don't really have a strong take there. The Almeida Pereira fight is what he's discussing. If anybody else has any type of convicted take on that.
I do. I just find the line a bit surprising at Caesar. I liked what I saw from Caesar in his last fight. I think I was one of the only people. I think Pepe and I had some discussion on that because we were thinking about taking the Roman side. I ended up just being on GTDs there. But in that fight, his striking looks okay. But as an MMA fighter, if you're mixing it up with him and you're kind of looking to get in the clinch with him, I'm not sure how and you're fluid in those positions. I'm not sure he could be a minus like 400 favorite over people. So I'm a little bit interested in the dog shot on Ehor for sure.
All right.
I'm not taking anything. I'm not taking anything on that fight either. Basically, the way that I think it's most profitable for me to bet is to just have a few sides that I have a lot of conviction, that I have a pretty clear read on. Not that like, oh, I think there is value. So I'm starting to tighten things up. So I'm not going to have a ton of plays. I think I have 4 money lines right now. I'm looking at some totals, waiting for a few to mature in the market before I get down. But I'm trying not to. And this is like one of those examples where, is the line probably wide? Yes. But do I want to spend, do I want to put my units out on a plus 300 that, I don't really like? Like stylistically, Almeida has better cardio. He's got better volume. I think Ehor would need to have a pretty career performance to win this fight. I think it's difficult for him. He's not gonna be able to win 2 round striking like he did against Robert Bryczek from KSW. Caesar's just really calm. I like the way he fights. I think training with Poatan for this fight is bullish for him, but I'm obviously not going to lay the juice on him. So that's why it's a difficult fight to bet for me.
Yeah, you mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, John. I'll follow up.
No, go, because I was going to transition to Pennington. So if you got something on that fight, go for it.
Yeah, you're going to transition without hearing my thoughts. Crazy.
Well, Pepe left a teaser. He's like, I got 4 money lines. I was going to go, bam, here's one of your money lines. Take it away. But go ahead on Almeida Ehor, because I got nothing on this fight.
We should have coordinated pre. I was going to say, yeah, you obviously can't lay the price on Caesar, but I've been looking at the fight and thinking about how I want to play it, and I think I would just fade the round 1 finish by Caesar. And there's a few different ways you can do that. You can do the 2-3, which the prices aren't incredible because but on Unibet, Canby for anyone in Canada, they got Caesar and over 1.5 rounds at plus 175. And
plus 175.
And I've been thinking about that today. I don't think it's a bad way to play it. Obviously, he can kill him in round 1. But I do think a lot of guys come out a little more patient at elevation. I think this could be a real low-pace fight. And I do think it's likely that he does finish him extended. But yeah, to get a guy at plus 175, that's minus 450 or whatever the hell he is. Yeah,
that's pretty good. I actually like that play. Getting that equity of Ehor starting a little bit strong. In that first round, kind of trying to rock up as an underdog. And then getting that late equity and decision equity. I kind of like that.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that one. But Pepe has 4 money lines.
There it is. He's got 4 money lines, and one of them is in this fight. I know Jordan wants to hear our thoughts on here. We also had Agnew 420. That said, or wait, where'd it go? I lost it. I don't know. A few other people wanted to hear about this chick fight. So Pepe, take it away. Oh, yeah, there it is. He said, Jon Kelly, you know everything. So I wanted to highlight that. I'm assuming it was sarcasm, but we're going to take him serious. But Pepe actually has a play on this fight, a big one, and definitely got ahead of the line move. He was part of that move on Pennington. So Pepe, what you got for us?
Okay, so I think Ozzy and I have some dissension regarding this fight, but I like the Taurus side, I like the Tisha Pennington side quite a bit. There's a lot of things, in my opinion, that are pointing towards a really strong play. And I understand the downside for this matchup is that a lot of times both of these girls fight in very close decisions. Tisha struggles to put her stamp on rounds. They each have a ton of split decisions on their record. Tisha doesn't have a ton of power. But I think in this specific matchup, it's kind of I'm willing to roll the dice and put my money in a spot where I am fading Esparza. And I think Esparza's run was pretty miraculous at the amount of success that she had. And now we get Esparza coming off the title loss in her retirement fight, also coming off pregnancy. And her style is terrible for modern MMA. She does no damage, and she doesn't have good cardio, in my opinion. And fighting at elevation against the girl who trains in elevation already has one fight removed from giving birth. So she got that one out of the way. I thought she looked pretty good against Ricci. She definitely looked like she's still training. She has some left in the tank for sure. I think, a lot of people can make the case that Tisha actually beat Ricci. And so I'm getting the better striker with better volume, better footwork. The big cage is going to be helpful for her in that way. And we're getting a decent price on her because she's coming off 2 losses in a row. But you could make the case that she won both those fights against Dern and against Ricci. And Dern and Ricci, I think, are a little more difficult matchups for Tisha. And people are going to be like, oh, well, Ricci's not as good of a wrestler as Carla is. And I agree with that. I just think we have a big enough sample size that we know that Esparza doesn't have great control even when she gets takedowns. And Tisha will be able to work her way back up. And, you know, with the speed advantage that I think she's going to have, I think she's going to be able to predictably win this fight quite often. So I like the Tisha side. And yeah, think it's a good spot for her. Tailor-made almost.
Interesting. Yeah, you know, it's not a crazy amount of dissension, but looking at the fight between these two girls that, I mean, Tisha is almost as old as Carla is. She herself is always in split decision. She's like 12-8 as a fighter. And I know how she fights, right? She's a blitzer in there. She throws, you know, spinning kicks, axe kicks, you know, whatever it is. But nothing she does is that effective. Nothing that she does. If we're talking about the modern thing of MMA, it's not like Tisha is a big hitter. She doesn't have great accuracy to the head. She's gonna be still at a reach disadvantage, even though we see Carla as a bad striker. And Carla has won many times as an underdog and not, you know, kind of shit the bed too many times. She got choked out by Wei Li, but most of her other fights, she's been extremely competitive in them. And I just think that a lot of the tools that Tisha likes to use, you know, her kicks, like if you look at the stats and if you just track, you know, the strikes that she's really effective with, a lot of times, you know, a lot of times they're kicks, they're push kicks, you know, axe kick, like, you know, to the body, stuff like that. And I just don't really agree as much that if Carla has grappling success, that it's easy for Tisha to get away from her. And so I'm going to just stick to my commandments of better grappler in women's MMA. I'm going to side with them. And if you could give me the plus 150 as well, I think it's just, you know, better to, even though with all the, you know, pregnancy and all those things, I understand. But I just don't think that you're getting too far ahead, especially at this price. Maybe if you want to lay the 125 for the decision line now, 130, whatever it is, maybe a little bit more reasonable. But I just do not see Tisha Torres being able to finish Carla. So I don't know why a decision bet wouldn't be more warranted at this point than a money line bet.
John, why don't you tell the viewers about that trend that you had brought up that I didn't even know about until.
Well, I'm glad you asked, Pepe. I actually have it right here. So basically, trends. This is the new trends tool at FightNumbers.com, part of the betting package, and we have a promo 307 gets you 30.7% off your first payment. It works for every package this week. That's both the betting side and DFS. This is the new betting trends tool. So basically, I filtered it by underdogs in women's MMA coming off 6 months or longer layoff is 26 and 58 and 1 straight up with a negative 17.4% ROI. So
not good.
Obviously not great when they're coming off a sizable layoff. And with the Esparza, you factor in the pregnancy, like you mentioned, and she's actually almost on a 2-year layoff. If you make this go out further, there's actually only been, I believe it's 19 fights. And you guys can run this yourself. 19 fights in the past 2 years where women fighters have been coming off a year or longer layoff, and they've only won 4 of those fights. They're 4-15. So it gets even worse. And the other person that fits that trend is later, who we'll talk about facing Kayla Harrison, is Ketlin Vieira. So the trends are not liking them. You can also
Pena? What about Pena?
Oh yeah, probably Pena too. I didn't factor her in, but also, if you flip it and go to the favorites, so women's MMA favorites making a return in 6 months or less, so staying active, favorites are actually 38-10 with a positive 16.9 betting ROI.
Yeesh.
So if you're literally blind betting WMMA favorites over the past 2 years that are staying active, you are printing money. I mean, you're getting, double inflation rate currently. So, I mean, you're making good money. So, just wanted to highlight a couple of those WMMA trends. I think it was super useful considering we have a couple of those spots on the card. Chad, do you have anything regarding the Tisha Pennington? Oh, wait, actually, I'll add this. The only thing aside from the trends, this was one where initially when I looked at the number, I thought I was going to like Carla, and that was prior to looking into the fight. And then, obviously the layoff and all that stuff aside, but then also looking into the fight deeper, it's like almost everything favors Pennington. So now I've kind of done like a complete 180. Not going to lay it at the current price, but I think where Pepe, obviously where you got in good and beat a lot of the steam here, I think it was a great bet. And honestly, I think she wins here. And to Ozzy's point, it probably does go 15 minutes, so I don't hate a GTD look. But Chad, what you got for us on the females fight?
All right. Pepe has 3 other money. So I'm more in alignment with Pepe here, so I can hear the comments coming already. I think that, this is, like you said, the layoffs makes a difference, and Torres too, a little bit, but she's a fitness freak. People that don't follow her aren't aware, but she does like bodybuilding. She's in sick shape. Like she's about that. I think her and Carla, despite being like closely long in the tooth, I think she's in better shape physically right now, despite whatever's working against her. Her pace is very good, and that altitude, I think that makes a big difference. If Carla's not getting takedowns here, which she might get one, but I think Tisha can work up to. I think that Tisha's going to outland her by a significant margin standing. So just by virtue of that, I think she can get up. I think she has decent takedown defense, and I think she's going to outland her 3-1 standing. So just by virtue of that, Tisha is the side. I know she's lost split decisions, but realistically, she beat Ricci. Like that one was honestly a bad decision.
So I bet Ricci, and I agree with you. I think Tisha, like I was surprised to hear Ricci won that fight. It was a terrible bet.
It was a clear win for Tisha. The Dern one was.
She did not beat Dern, dude.
I didn't think she beat Dern. I thought she clearly beat Ricci, though.
She clearly beat Ricci. I said the Dern was more of a toss-up, but I thought she won that fight as well. But it was close. And Dern is a solid fighter. She's way more physical than Carla is, especially at this point in her career. So, I think moneyline side, Tisha clear. And we had some comments about, this is clearly going the distance. But I'm playing a little Tisha around 3 plus 2,400.
Yo, hold on. Can I interrupt you 1 second? Don't omit round 2 because her one submission loss was in round 2 and Carla was submitted twice, both in round 2. So remember always if you're gonna do round 3, add 2 also.
Yeah, so I didn't play sub or anything, but the reason it was round 3 instead of just round 2, I'll see if I want to add 2. But I do think it is very fatigue based. I don't think Tisha has anywhere near the ground game of the girls that did submit Carla. It's more of a Carla retirement spot, fall off a cliff at altitude, and just I'm not going to stick around till the end because I'm getting lit up now on the feet. I can't get takedowns. I'm tired. More of like that sort of thing. I don't think she's process subbing Carla or anything like that. I don't think Carla's falling apart after 5 minutes. So it's just a numbers play for me at plus 2,400. Just that and the money line at minus 160. So That's my thoughts.
Yeah, makes sense. We got Timothy asking about OSP Ryan Spann. This fight was originally booked back at UFC Vegas 97, I believe, so 3 or 4 weeks ago. OSP pulled out due to illness. I don't know if it was weight cut related or not. I can't remember if it was that late in the week or not, but either way, they're running it back here. Timothy's asking if this fight's a pass. It certainly is for me. I think Ryan Spann has a clear hardware edge, but I mean, I don't trust Ryan Spann whatsoever. He's flimsy, durability issues, fight IQ issues. At this price, minus 245, like I don't really have interest unless one of you guys can sell me on some sort of prop angle. Hopefully that's what you got here, Chad. What's up?
I like to go first just because I don't want to always be accused of tailing Pepe. This one, I'm waiting for some domestic props to drop, but yeah, most likely
you got your eye on.
Most likely outcome, obviously, Spann, KO1, whatever, square boys. Yeah, if it happens, it happens. But hear me out. Spann, one of the dumbest to ever do it. You watch his tape, everyone knows he stinks. He's dumb. He's gassy. He jumps Gilly. Hear me out. This gets out of the first round by the grace of God. Spann, round 2. What happens? OSP shoots in. Spann's like, ooh, perfect time for me to jump a guillotine. He jumps the guillotine. OSP is always in half guard. He's able to slide out, get over to side control. What happens next? Let me tell you. Spann, not a lot of blood going to the brain, a little oxygen deprived, not thinking clearly. He's at altitude. He holds on to the gilly in side control against the guy.
I see where you're going with this.
Getting a submission renamed after him, or should. If you disagree,
putting the grappling transitions together.
OSP,
I like it. I can see
Von
it.
Prue,
Easy.
round 2. Do not at me. It's happening.
Bro.
Chad's in his bag for this fight.
I'm proud of you, Chad.
I might have to blind tail that. Also, if you have one of the Mickey Mouse books like BetMGM,
Guys,
you could
please
bet
don't.
the exact submission, not just submission props, but you could actually bet the exact type of submission and get a much bigger number too.
I was going to do that, but now it's probably going to get wrecked.
Yeah.
Or they're listening. And
Yeah. Chad, I'm proud of you, dude. I'm proud of you of finally finding out, like, putting together that, square peg in the square hole, right? Not going round hole. But, this fight, I actually love this fight. I was on OSP originally. I thought his last performance was great. Against Kennedy, who trains with Ryan Spann. But I think actually moving it over to altitude, I think it's better for OSP. I mean, OSP has fought a few of his last few fights have gone the distance, right, against Shogun and stuff like that. I thought in his last fight, he was moving around, a lot better. Obviously, always want to see him make weight. He got a donk, right? And sometimes he's missed weight. He's fought a heavyweight as well. And also has Ryan Spann. But overall, what I feel about this fight is I want to invest in it in a prop angle, in a prop way, because we've lost some money line equity here with them moving it to altitude. But I kind of like the under 1.5, which is basically a pick 'em price. Maybe you could get 105 or even money, and then pairing that with OSP inside the distance. Either way, I feel one of these guys, someone's gonna get dropped in this fight. Someone's gonna get put in a deep submission. Something's gonna happen like that. So I want to get some equity in the early finish from either one, but also a bit more in maybe winning both the bets with OSP getting an early finish, or just getting that OSP late equity. Because also, if you watch that Guskov fight, man, Ryan Spann takes like 15, 16 extra punches in there of ground and pound where he was clearly knocked out already. So I don't know where his chin is at. I don't know where he's going to be at if OSP is avoiding any of these big strikes and throwing back at him. And he's never been a guy who is good in the second half of a fight. So I really like that angle. Hopefully there's no, I don't lose to OSP decision or Ryan Spann decision. But either way, it's not a huge investment. Given that you could get OSP inside the distance at, like plus like 400, I think, or more than that, 450 maybe. So that's how I'll be playing the fight. But always rooting for OSP, one of my favorite light heavyweights ever. Yeah, 425 you could get for OSP inside the distance.
I'm surprised Chad didn't do the little bird thing that he does with his hands. The OSP, the gang sign that OSP throws up.
Oh, I thought you were saying
that.
the gang sign I do. I used to be able to do blood with my
okay.
but I lost I lost mobility in my fingers.
No, I remember my ninth grade year in high school too.
Hold on.
Nice slime.
Yeah, let's not do that so that we don't get the video removed from YouTube. Anything on the Aldo Bautista fight? Adam wants to know. I don't really have a passionate take here. I know there's been some Aldo love, legend of the fight game, certainly getting a little bit older. But what do you guys have for this scrap?
I think this is it. Can I just go real quick because I don't have a ton on it. So sure. I think this is a really good fight to pass on, to be quite honest, because Aldo's coming off like a career best performance at his age, you know, but that was at home in Brazil. Now coming over to SLC at altitude against a cardio monster in Bautista. But honestly, I think Aldo's striking is a lot sharper than Bautista's, and I don't really see Bautista having much wrestling success. I kind of favor Aldo outright, but it seems like a mush bet that like everyone is on. And
what was the last mush bet you said?
What? The last one I posted publicly was the Grasso one.
Oh, okay. Well, you called Brito the mush right before, and I think he won.
That was before. Yeah, that was before.
But I was just saying you're on with mush call.
Yeah, I also thought Altamirano was mush last week. Yeah. So that's the thing. Although he's at the age where he can just get cracked, but his striking is way quicker, way sharper. He sees strikes coming a lot better. Both of them could get cracked. So I wouldn't like the over is like minus 300. I think that's pretty fucking crazy. I would much rather the under, even though they're both pretty defensively sound. But overall, I think it's a really good fight to just watch and not pick a side. Ozzy, what do you think?
Yeah, I would tend to agree, but just I'm not like I embarrassed myself when I picked Pedro Munoz passionately against Jose Aldo, and that didn't go well. But I'm just never getting to betting Mario Bautista here. You know, I had him, or I've won on his last two fights just because I had the goals of distance or decision angle for him, and the fight in general. But overall, you know, he's fought two guys who are not very quick. In my opinion, with hand speed or things like that, in Blackshear and Ricky Simon, they're kind of more like just really strong, like, you know, wrestlers that really want to grab you and kind of squeeze you. Whereas Aldo, man, he moves in the pocket so well. He's a master of distance. He knows how to, you know, stay just that range, be able to parry a jab and counter. And his punching power is still there clearly as well. And Mario, I think, still cuts a lot of weight to 135, whereas Aldo, I think, has really dialed that in late in his career. He's got experience fighting at this in this location as well, in the altitude. And it just might be a fraud check, low key, for Mario. You know, Mario is one of Sean O'Malley's boys. We saw Sean O'Malley get I guess fraud checked, if you want to say, in terms of grappling. But yeah, if Mario, you could see Mario looking to try to take Aldo down here, not having success, and then Aldo starts ripping to the body and stuff like that. So I hate the Mario Bautista bet. If you laid that early, I don't, you know, I would be trying to get out of that with a decision line maybe for Aldo. And it's not like he's young, you know, he's a, you know, I'm sorry to say he's a 93 boy like me, but we're no spring chickens when it comes to fighting in the octagon or fighting in at altitude. So, you know, I'm definitely leaning towards Jose Aldo. But I'll stick around maybe some props here in terms of significant strikes rate. They like the fight to go the distance. So maybe we get some Jose Aldo significant strike overs or something like that gives you equity in him, even if maybe he loses a close decision. I think they're gonna be active for sure.
What the perfect outcome for me would be Aldo wins, and then how fucking cool would this fight be? Jose Aldo versus O'Malley.
That would be sweet. Or they finally do Jose Aldo versus Dominic Cruz.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It should have been Aldo Cruz.
Or Jose Aldo versus Casey Kenny. Am I right, guys? Am I right? Let's see that.
In prison?
There was a few different Aldo matchups. It's dumb. Like this one, come on. He's not making a run for the title again.
I think if anything, they're just giving him someone where he could get like a somewhat easy win.
I mean, maybe.
I mean, Mario Bautista has not. He just has not proven it. He has not gotten his stripes.
Rewatching some of his old stuff, I'm not as impressed as I was when it like happened live. Like rewatching the fights in the cold light of day, I'm like,
Blackshear was on short notice as well.
Blackshear, I thought, pretty much won, and he was on 6 days notice.
Yeah,
full camp, he wins.
Yeah, and like Ricky Simone is a punching bag and is slow as shit on the feet. And dude, Simone dropped him at the end of round 1. And then, the only round that Mario really dominated was round 3 when Ricky started to gas out. And look what just happened to Ricky against Vinicius. Like he just got dog walked the whole time. So really, how good is Bautista? I don't know. When I was looking at both of them strike, I think Aldo is a much better striker.
That Blackshear fight, man, was close, dude. Blackshear had an argument to win that. I thought Mario won, but it was close.
I think I give a little bit more credit to Bautista than you guys, but to your point, like look at who he's faced. Like none of these guys are strikers. Like he might just get completely tooled on the feet here. Like he fought Simone, Blackshear, like all grapplers, Kelleher, like none of these guys have great striking and pretty low level too. So this is going to be one of the toughest tests. Like I said, I kind of like Bautista a little bit more, but certainly not interested in laying the juice, even though the line has come in. Let's talk Holland Dolidze. Tristan wants to hear it. I believe this is one of Pepe's other money line plays. Is that right?
Yeah.
You could kick us off here.
Oh yeah, man. I love the Holland side in this matchup, and I see that Dolidze is a popular dog among MMA Twitter, and I'm happy to see it honestly, because you guys can't pick a fucking dog right to save your life. And this matchup, I think Holland. I just think it's a really tough stylistic matchup for Dolidze. And I think people are giving Dolidze a little too much credit, honestly. If you go back and watch him, the guy is extremely slow. And he's 36 years old, coming off of a win against like the ghost of Anthony Smith. He didn't look good at all. And then he fought Imavov in the fight before. And, every time Dolidze is a dog, people are like, hype him up and shit. And the guy is just not that good, honestly. Holland, 5 years younger, much more pro experience. He's way faster. He's taller. He has way more range. He's got longer reach. And I think his takedown defense is actually improving. If you go back to the Chiesa and Hamzat fight, I kind of liked what he was doing. And, Dolidze, his wrestling is ass. Like, it's because he's so slow. Like, a lot of what he does is cage pushing. So, yeah, maybe you can cage push him. Maybe he can get one takedown or so. But I don't even think his control is that good. I think Holland will be able to scramble back to his feet. And on the feet, it's not close. I think Dolidze is a punching bag. And, I get people are like, oh, you can't bet Holland at juice. But, dude, Holland covers plenty at juice. He's a lot of his wins, he's been a favorite. It's usually, people can usually tell, when Holland is the dog that he doesn't come through. Like, he lost to Jack Della and MVP. Like, those are two of the best strikers at 170.
For real. For real.
He was pretty competitive with them too. And then the Ponzinibbio fight, people want to give him shit. He had a broken hand and he knocked him out in round 3. But Pons is way faster than Dolidze. Pons has pretty damn good footwork. Dolidze doesn't do a lot, not a lot of volume. His wrestling's not that good, and he's just so hittable. So, honestly, and the other thing is, Holland has fought in Salt Lake City before. And I think he has a massive cardio advantage. So even if Dolidze grapples early and maybe has some success, I think that's just going to tire him out even more. I guess I'm kind of a Dolidze fader. I've bet against him a lot, but dude, he's getting up there in age. And yeah, I like this matchup for Holland. What do you guys think?
John, you got any thoughts here?
Yeah, I like Holland as well. You guys know I'm never I've never been a Dolidze guy. I think the only time I bet him was when I chased a big submission prop in like his UFC debut because it was like plus 800 or something. Outside of that, I don't know if I've ever bet him, and I've usually bet against him. I don't think his style is very good for winning rounds in the UFC, and especially as he started to face tougher levels of competition, that's where I really want to bet against him. And I think that's the case here against Kevin Holland, who Pepe mentioned the biggest takeaways, huge speed advantage, and I think a big cardio edge as well. You know, Dolidze gasses in fights that aren't even like high paced. So like, I don't trust this dude whatsoever. I think Holland wins. It likely comes by decision. This is another one where I might be interested in taking a poke on an over or a GTD here, but what about you?
Man, this is one of the more interesting fights to me on the card, and also when you're looking at the prop market is also just adds to intrigue because Roman by the submission or even inside the distance, very big price here. So they're pricing as kind of more like his more likely path to victory is to win by decision. And if you're telling me that, I just don't really like him, to win a decision. I think I had Anthony Smith small, like plus like 135 or something like that in the last fight. But he kind of just gave up, like just turtled there in that second round, kind of gave that second round away, to Roman, and Roman didn't really have to work hard. But to Pepe's point, when the guys are at distance, he looks bad. He kind of looks uncomfortable. He starts definitely fatiguing, and his attributes and his speed deteriorate pretty quickly. And man, if you're thinking about it, like Kevin Holland, even though we could be bearish and think not highly of his takedown defense, it is still hard to kind of get a hold of the guy. He is a bit slippery in there. He's long. He's got a big power in his hands as well, and he throws to all areas of the body as well, right? He rips in body shots. He's got some head kicks as well. He'll throw, like he's got just like a big wingspan, an area in the cage that he could create damage in. Whereas Roman, he kind of really needs to either, corner you or kind of just catch you off guard as well, which with Kevin Holland, it could happen because sometimes he kind of starts off, playing around a little bit or things like that. But I think as the fight goes on, I really do agree with Pepe that this should really favor Kevin. I think Kevin, he could turn this fight at any point with a few strikes in there. And I just don't favor Roman to be there in the later rounds. Like look at his to win in round 2, to win in round 3, 1,800, 2,200. It's a big delta between these guys. And then I also just don't like him winning a decision either. So, with people jumping on the Roman side, I think I might side with my boy Pepe here, especially we're getting under minus 150 to lay on Holland. I think he might be one of my favorites or chalk sides of the week. And you could easily hedge with some kind of Roman finish prop here to just cover that basis. But I feel pretty good that Kevin should win an extended fight here against Roman.
That makes 3 Kevin Hollands. Chad, are you going to round it out for a squad play here on Kevin Holland?
That is the circle jerk play of the week, fellas.
Load it up.
Hear me out. So,
all right, that's all we need.
Holland, I mean, he's dumb. He's, whatever. But I don't love 185 for him as much as I like 170. But he cracks everyone that stands extended with him. He clearly hits like a fucking truck. Questionable decision making, but Roman's wrestling stinks. All right, who is he taking down in his UFC career? He took down the ghost of Anthony Smith once, and he struggled with that. And that's pretty much it in the last 5 years. He's not a good wrestler. He is a good grappler as far as submission grappling goes. I think he is tricky and dangerous on the ground. I just don't think he gets there. And I could see him cage pushing a couple minutes, maybe stalling in the clinch, and then Holland separating, landing a few shots, and winning the round. I just, for me, Holland has all the finish upside standing. He's far more dangerous. It's going to take like a trip takedown in the clinch, high rolled into like landing in half guard. Because I think in Kevin's guard, he probably just stalls out for a round. Like you guys said, Roman's gassy. Is at altitude. I think Holland, KO 2-3 is very live. I think it's likely Holland. So fuck Dolidze. I think he stinks, even though he beat Vettori in my books. Yeah, it's Kevin Holland season, fellas.
He didn't beat Vettori, but he was the side in that fight.
I said in my book.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough.
We had Felipe wanted to hear the Buckley Wonderboy fight, which is an interesting matchup. I know Pepe, you were part of the move on Buckley. If you want to kick that one off.
Yeah, sure. I don't know what he's lined at right now, but I played Buckley at -160, and it was largely just to fade Wonderboy at 41.5 years old. And I think Buckley is trending in the right direction, and he's just had such a big physical advantage in this spot. Like, obviously, if it stays at range for 15 minutes, he's probably going to lose. And I'm willing to lose to, damn near 42-year-old Stephen Thompson. He's a solid striker. He does what he does well. But I do think Buckley's going to be able to either hit him with something big or get the grappling going. And I'm just willing to lay the juice here because, number one, I knew the line was going to move, and I wanted to get in before I got to -200. So I just like to cash in these kind of spots. And Buckley is he's a solid fighter. He's not great anywhere, but his durability is okay. He's in his physical prime. He's pretty fast, pretty explosive. And I think he can just use pure athleticism in this fight to either win a decision or clip Wonderboy. I don't think he's gonna find a submission like he's been talking about. I don't see that happening. But yeah, I just think I want to be a part of fading Wonderboy as he approaches 42 years old, and I think we're just getting a nice little price on that. So yeah, I like Buckley in this spot. And Wonderboy seems like a popular underdog play too. So, I mean, I could see a path to victory. I don't think Buckley should be -300, but I was happy at -1XX.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Chad. We're gonna go to you in a sec. I just want to point out again. I mean, literally every single week, Pepe's plays. I mean, he's beating the market literally almost every single time, and they're not small moves either. Like it's 40, 50 cents. I mean, you just heard the Buckley play, the Pennington play. Like these are 50-cent moves. Like you can only get that at FightNumbers.com. So quick plug there from Corporate Johnny. Chad, what you got for us?
Sure. Sucks after that plug to then come and take the other side, but it's a dirty job. Someone's
I respect it, man. I respect it. Let's hear it.
And I'm tired of these people saying all I do is tail Pepe. I'm coming for his fucking neck. So my thoughts on the fight are Buckley's had a pretty weak strength of schedule, and I've been betting on him throughout his entire run. I'm on Buckley every single fight. Bet him large against Ruzabov. I bet him large against Morono. I'm on Buckley every fucking fight. I love the dude, but he's limited. And as you said, he's strong and whatnot, but he's not like an elite striker. He's not an elite wrestler, an elite kind of makes it work through black explosiveness and enthusiasm. But he's fighting a guy here in Wonderboy who is clearly the superior striker. If this is extended standing, Buckley's in trouble. So can this get extended standing? And then we look at their fights. And Buckley is wrestling kind of dog shit guys. Ruzabov had never seen a takedown before that fight. He didn't understand that you could take people down. He thought he's in kickboxing.
Dude, Ruzaboyev has grappled in every fight. He's a pretty good grappler.
How was his takedown defense?
It wasn't that good, but he's
wasn't that it was
almost every
he has
fight.
the worst takedown defense ever to be seen in the UFC.
Some of the Philly guys say he's kind of a beast in the gym when they're rolling
if Tyrone Woodley can take down Wonderboy 8 years ago, I think
So, can I do the breakdown?
Yeah,
I'll let you run. So I'm not saying he can't get takedowns. I'm saying Wonderboy will work up, and Wonderboy is not that easy to take down. He's going to make him work for the takedown, and then I think he can get up. And I don't rate Buckley's cardio. I definitely don't rate it at elevation. Wonderboy is always on point cardio-wise. That's never been an issue for him. So if Wonderboy can work up, make him work for takedowns, get up, and get it back striking, I don't think Buckley is separating on the ground. I think at best he's holding on for dear life. He's not going to be doing damage. He's not going to sub him. So maybe he gets on top for 2 minutes. Wonderboy gets up, separates the hands, then they're back at range. And who gives a fuck?
Buckley cannot. He won't be able to get ground and pound on him.
I honestly, my thoughts are I don't think he's going to open up.
What if he gets him in like turtle position and is just like takes his back? And...
What if he subs him instantly? I mean, yeah, there's what ifs, but I think he's going to be far more concerned about trying to stay on top than he is about dealing damage. So I think he's going to be doing a lot more lay and pray than anything else. I think Wonderboy is going to work up when that happens. And I just trust him to get up and separate standing a little bit. I think Buckley, I think you can agree, cardio-wise, there is a pretty large gap here unless Wonderboy shows up ancient. Wonderboy's... Go ahead.
What?
You're going to...
I'm just... Oh, sorry. I'm just giggling.
Pepe was going to say something and I stopped.
Oh, me? I thought Ozzy was gonna add something.
Well, you both made mouth movements, but I was talking.
You know what, Chad? I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna say that I'm siding with you two, baby. Okay,
let's fucking go.
I just gotta go with the Wonder Go here because like you're saying, Ruzaboyev, the guy's staple to the ground with his feet, and he was getting completely taken off his feet. And Alex Morono is one of the slowest fighters in the UFC. And that fight, man, I was big on Buckley there. He was like minus 180 or whatever it was. I was big on him. And I'm going to be honest, I was a little nervous at a few points. I thought he was just going to run into something, get guillotined by him, something. I have no idea. I'm waiting. I want to see Wonder Go get on the scale. He is 41 years old, I think, going on 42. He's coming back to the scene of the crime where Michelle Pereira avoided fucking fighting him. So he's coming out there to put on a show for the Utah crowd. Now, I will say, I do kind of think that he could get clipped here just because his hands are down and Buckley sometimes just blitzes in and he don't give a fuck and he'll throw a head kick at the end of his combos just to look at it. And it could land on Wonderboy. You never know. But I think maybe the under in this fight could be attractive. I don't think Buckley's going to get great control on the ground. And when you're just standing across from Wonderboy, dude, things happen in terms of you thinking that you have a certain beat on him or the distance, or maybe Buckley comes in for a blitz and Wonderboy out blitzes him. We never know what's gonna happen. But at plus 185 now, I was gonna stand. I was just when it was like 165, 160, I was gonna stay out of it. But at 185, I just don't see how the style of Wonderboy doesn't give a guy like Joaquin Buckley some problems, at some point.
When's the last time? This isn't really directed right at you, Ozzy, but just a question that I'm thinking about. When's the last time Wonderboy looked good in a fight? Was it the Holland fight?
The Kevin Holland one, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that was a weird fight, dude. And I mean, we all know Holland made this agreement that they gave him his first big main event, and he agreed that he wouldn't take him to the ground. And so when Buckley, or when he got to the ground, like Holland just let him up. Buckley's gonna do everything he can to win this fight.
If Wonderboy fought Ruzaboyev would still be sleeping. As well with Vicente Luque. I mean, he already did that. And Andre Fiallo. So, I mean, he's been fighting the title contenders, the title challengers. So, I don't really think his recent run of form or performances, it doesn't really matter. Like, he would murder Andre Fiallo. He would kill him.
He's getting top ton by Bilal and Burns and these guys. And, like, they're terrified to stand for a second with him. And, I'm glad you mentioned all this because you jogged it in my memory. I was big on Buckley against Moreno, and I'm watching that fight, and he's blitzing in with his chin at the sky. I'm like, he's begging to get fucking chinned. I get it. He won. But, dude, Wonderboy, like, I don't think you can just charge in on him with your chin up. Buckley is reckless. I don't think he's going to control Wonderboy like that, so he's going to spend extended time standing here. I don't think he's a threat BJJ-wise. Wonderboy actually has a pretty defensively responsible game. I think he's hard to sub. I know Shavkat did it, but Burns couldn't touch him for the entire fight. I think he can give his back here, get up, work up, and not have to give a fuck. Buckley has no BJJ.
You know what I just remembered?
Buckley has been training in Austin with the B team for the last 3 weeks, I heard. Just
3 weeks.
Yeah.
So, what was the knockout punch that knocked Wonderboy out? The Superman punch.
Superman punch, yeah.
Yep.
Who's on this card in the second fight? Ryan Superman Spann. Who's saving this card? Alex Pereira. Buckley's going to knock out Wonderboy. Heard it here.
Jon Kelly motion to dismiss Pepe. He's going man of the library. I'm out. This is crazy.
Listen. I said if Wonderboy beats me, he beats me. You gotta choose where you want to put your money, and I've chose.
I mean, you got great value on the line. I understand, but I mean, laying 220, 230 on Buckley, that's not a good decision.
That's a different story.
I know. I'm just saying that's not a good decision.
That's where it's like sometimes you can even get, like, if you guys want to arb, feel free to arb. Like, if you like the opposite side, like, wait for, Pepe to put out a release, and then you'll get a much better price. As I said, like, a lot of these lines are moving 50, 60 cents. So, like Ozzy was saying, he probably wasn't interested when, Wonderboy was whatever, but then it moves 50 cents and he starts to get a little intrigued. But LP wants to hear about Pennington versus Pena. Honestly, I have zero interest in this fight. I think Pennington wins, but I mean, I'm not interested in betting it in any way. So you guys can chime in here.
I would say the sharp money definitely came in on Pena, scooped up that like plus 160, range. Now we're in the 140 range. I mean, I just can't get out of my head, and I was on Raquel big against Myra, but she almost got submitted about 3 different times against Bueno Silva, and she just kept going to the grappling, and she always grapples. She always goes to the clinch. She dominates in the clinch, honestly. But I think this fight could be close, man. I really do think it could be close because Juliana, even though she sucks on the feet, like her hands are not good. She's committed, dude. She will jab. She'll jab with you. She'll throw right hands with you. She's not going to back down. We'll probably see Raquel throw those calf kicks, but I wouldn't be surprised at her tripping, falling over, getting taken down, something like that. And on the ground, I do think Juliana could really easily submit her. So, I mean, I lean to Juliana's side, honestly. I mean, I would just say that maybe wait live, see how they both come out and all, but I think Juliana could do some stuff in here in this fight, but there could be a lot of momentum changes in this fight. But I think Juliana is not a bad underdog play either. I like all the women underdogs, honestly. So,
well, people like really want to hear the women fights. Like most of the requests we had was for the female fights. Lucendo, Marina Rodriguez was another
fight.
Hot button one that people wanted to hear.
Uh-oh, we lost our host.
Oh God!
Yeah, we lost our
Guys,
host.
while we're hey,
Oh no!
the teacher's gone. Let's play. Fuck Jon Kelly. What's your favorite slur? Oh shit! Never mind.
I booted myself by accident. Yeah, so I was saying, you guys have a
I
hot
was
take
saying,
on
what's your favorite fight of the night, fellas?
Marina Rodriguez versus
Well, we
Lucendo.
didn't really finish going over Pena fight. Yeah, so Pena was one of the names that stuck out to me when after Saturday's card as a potential play, and
Really?
she was plus 160 at Caesars at the time, and I did a bunch of tape on it, and I was really close to making a play on it, and I was like, I think this is one of those fights where I want to wait to see how she looks physically. She's been off for a while. You have to remember that too. And
she got killed in that fight too.
Yeah, dude. And so I was like, I was about to make the play at plus 160. Then I'm like, all right, let me revisit the Nunez fight one more time. And then I watched it again, and dude, she's just going down so easy. She gets taken down so damn easy. Like, I get Nunez is a great wrestler, but these takedowns weren't good whatsoever. And, Raquel fought Nunez, and, obviously Nunez had her way for the most part with her, but Raquel was able to work her way up once or twice, and Raquel actually took a round off Nunez, top timing her. So I could see her being able, and like technically speaking, Raquel is way better than Pena. Pena's footwork is awful, but she's really aggro, and she just does a lot of stuff, and she has really good back takes. And as Ozzy alluded to, MBS was able to take her back a couple times. So I could see Pena replicating something like that. And MBS is just terrible cardio.
Horrible.
Whereas I think Pena has more cardio, but and if you go back and watch, MBS gave that fight away. She could have easily won that fight. She took herself down multiple times. She went for a dumb guillotine, laid on her back. I don't even know if Raquel even took her down. She didn't even have to. MBS just fought so damn dumb. The fight, she won the first 2 rounds, I'm pretty sure, and then just gave the fight away. It was a terrible look. But yeah,
Juliana's good in the clinch shoot. She'll pummel with you, she'll jockey for position. Whereas Bueno Silva's like, how can I finish a fight here? How can I finish a fight here? And makes horrible decisions.
I think Pena is super live too. I just don't know if I want to get involved in this fight.
How about that? They've got Raquel KO at 20-1.
Dude, that's kind of crazy. Yo,
you could even get a doctor stoppage because Juliana marks up too. Like her eyes swell up, and Raquel throws those elbows. Or Raquel even take it too. A body shot. Her maybe like going for one of those guillotines, and Juliana like going to her back, and Raquel ending up in a good position, and then elbowing her. I'm gonna play that 20-1 as well.
Isn't Pena coming off of broken ribs?
I don't know, but she's been not active for a long time, so that will go into the trends as well.
21 to 1 on FanDuel.
I have to play that. That's just way too wide.
It's like a lot of these fights where like no one wanted to play Moicano KO at like plus 14.
I called that out. I did call that out. Moicano knockout.
And it's like a lot of these props, you just you go with the one that like most of the public are not just seeing right away. And I think people are just assuming this is going to be a decision. Which
I think this fight could easily finish, dude. I'll probably be on. It doesn't go the distance.
How many times did Nunez drop Pena? And Pena fights crazy.
Yeah. She doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to go 25.
Bro,
neither of them want to go 25 here.
Even GDR fucking slept. Submitted Pena.
That's another thing. The submission prop on Raquel is not good, but because they know that she's good with that guillotine front choke thing that she does. So I think I'm going to be inside the distance. Yeah, I'm going to be on inside the distance here for sure.
And elevation too.
Yeah. Yeah. Lucendo, though, you want to talk about that?
Okay.
I know you're gonna talk up one side. I'll just start with this one and just
Yeah.
thinking that the level of competition upgrade here is pretty big. You know, Marina, I know she lost to Jessica Andrade in her last fight, and we saw Jessica just lose. But Jessica at 115 is a different kind of fighter, and she's proven that as well. And she went to some of the grappling and takedowns in that fight to ground Marina, and even then, the fight was extremely close. Marina definitely, I think, still had an argument to win that one. Obviously, she didn't look as nimble there. She didn't absorb the strikes as well, and she did kind of get backed up. But she went with the chaos pretty well. She ducked, she dodged, she struck back when she needed to. And I taped this one a lot. I was looking at this one a lot. And Lucendo, I just feel that, she's physical. She's well built for the 115 weight class in terms of the fact that she hits hard. She's her touch, similar to like basketball, her touch with her strikes I think is good in that she knows the distance to throw her biggest strikes. But overall, I really don't think she's all that good. I think that she's gonna need some grappling and takedowns here to really solidify this win, because at altitude, if they're out on their feet, for extended periods, I think that Marina, she just throws her strikes much tighter. Lucendo is always looking for like a lead hook into like a right hook and throwing extremely wide strikes. And I think late in the fight, I don't really see that working all that much. And she also likes to throw a lot of spinning strikes and not strikes that are not efficient. She throws spinning back kicks. She throws big head kicks. Rarely do you see the girl stick a jab, throw a low kick, any of that stuff. And her takedowns that she's done have been a collection of kind of like outside trips and kind of like physicaling some of these girls that are a little bit smaller. But overall, I like Marina here. And I think playing Marina and Lucendo by submission, I think you got a really, really nice kind of blended mix in there to get you a winner. So I think she needs submission.
How live do you think the submission is?
I think the submission is extremely live because Marina's, her takedown defense isn't good. And I just feel that if Lucendo is warranted of this price, it has to mean that she's getting to good positions like she did against Carolina, and then get into a finish. I think I feel Polyana gave up there, but even then, dude, Polyana took her down in the first round.
Yeah,
which is horrible. Polyana's a horrible wrestler, dude. So I just think that Marina's a great bet here. Marina by decision is plus 175. You get Marina money line for plus 165. So
that's crazy.
I think, like, obviously where it's priced at now, I think they're just kind of playing into the takedown worries for Marina. She defends at 65%. She's been taken down in each of her last 10 fights. So, like, that's the concern. But I do agree on the feet, like those slashing elbows, like she's definitely going to be competitive. I just don't know if I trust her enough to keep it on the feet long enough to get her hand raised.
But submission 10-1, 12-1 is crazy. That doesn't make any sense to me, especially for what we know at altitude. Marina's scrappy, dude, but I just think that even if she gets taken down in her guard, Lucendo, I haven't really seen guard passing. Like, I haven't seen slick jiu-jitsu. I've seen her get takedowns.
She guard passed on Polyana.
I think when she took her down, she ended up in her half guard, and then she kind of cut through her guard. But what I'm saying is, like, I really haven't seen her, technically keep the girls down, in a extremely crazy.
Yeah. Because she didn't really go for her grappling a lot in her first two fights against Uregi and Brogan Walker.
Right.
But obviously the value in Lucendo is gone. I played her at minus 135, and obviously people can understand why I would have played her at that line. But I wouldn't play her now. So Ozzy's making some really good points. I do understand why Marina has all of the value at this price. The reason why I had played Lucendo in the first place were that Marina's getting up there in age. That's not everything, obviously, but even with that, her margins are really thin to win fights because she has no grappling upside. she takes herself down in almost every fight, and her get-ups are pretty damn bad. She can do it
Yeah, she doesn't have
sometimes,
any.
Yeah, she has done it before, but if Lucendo gets her down within, the first 2 minutes of the round, that's a round. I already banked that round. And I'm assuming she's gonna get her down at least one time dude, I went back and watched, because I played Andrade in the last fight because I was like, oh, Marina takes herself down. And Andrade, you only need a little grappling success against her. And she pushes forward. And no shit, going back and watching, Marina took herself down twice. She threw a kick in round 1, landed on her back. And then in round 3, she did the same thing. So she is pretty clumsy with her striking. She's got better range management, but she's kind of chinny herself.
She's chinny. Oh, yeah.
Andrade stung her in round 2 to steal that round. And I think Lucendo can land a big shot and hurt her too. It would probably have to be within rounds 1 or 2. I don't really see her hurting her late. But Lucendo's got some decent power. And, at 22 years old, she's going to be improving. She's going to add some physicality. Her hands are pretty fast. She's got good counters. And I like the evolution in her grappling that she's shown in the past couple of fights. If you go to her Instagram, she's training her jiu-jitsu quite often. She's always in the gi, out of the gi. So I think she's a legit prospect. And, that's why I played her at 135. But past 150, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, her last fight too, I just felt when I was looking at that third round, I didn't like how she looked. And considering Rio de Janeiro is literally at sea level, I thought it was bearish for her here. So we'll see.
Yeah, and speaking of sea level too, I was going to share this is available completely free on FightNumbers.com. The last 10 years of data with regards to fights above elevation. I went back over the last 10 years, 147 bouts in that span, and it's broken down by weight class as well. Like I said, I still got to update the last card, but you can definitely get in there and see the differences. And I linked the spreadsheet where I'm tracking that as well. Let's go, because we're getting a little long here. Let's go over to Hubbard Hernandez, and then we'll talk main event before we put a bow on it and get out of here.
Take it away, buddy.
Okay, after I go for it.
I think Chad might have us muted.
Pepe, I don't. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I don't have you muted.
Oh, yeah, I missed that. What'd you say?
No, Hernandez versus what's his name? Hubbard. I want to get your initial thoughts on it. Opening.
I'm not playing this fight. I don't think you have to play it. That's my thoughts. I'm not interested.
I think the UFC would struggle to put together any kind of fight that I could give a fuck less about. This is a really weird booking, and yeah, I could care less about this one.
It's a pass for me too. So Ozzy, if you don't have anything, we can talk main event.
I would just say it's never Alex Hernandez. It's never bet on the guy. It's over for him. His MMA career is over.
You can't trust him.
No. So yeah, avoid him.
All right, let's talk main event. Anybody have any strong takes on Pereira Rountree? Obviously Pereira's juiced here, but any prop angles you guys are fishing for?
I'm just like in the under in this fight. I mean, usually like the last Alex Pereira fight, I bet the over, and I thought we were looking good, and then Yuri got dropped right at the end of round 1, and then he couldn't really recover. But here, I just think under, dude. I think right here we've got a guy in Khalil who's a southpaw, so I think both these guys are gonna be launching that right hand, that right kick, and left hand left kick on the other side at each other. I don't think Khalil really wants to go into late rounds here with Alex, especially given that Alex has fought here in Salt Lake before, while Khalil, hasn't. I don't think he's going to carry his power too much into those later rounds if he is kind of like coming at Alex. So under plus money, plus 105, even money, somewhere around there, I think is solid. I think these guys get busy, and I don't think Khalil is there for a long time. So I think he's gonna land his strikes. If Alex goes down, he goes down. If not, I really don't think Khalil's taking a lot of those left hooks and right hands. So I'm on the under.
I was actually thinking about the over, and
I made that mistake before, bro. Don't do it.
Okay, but this is a way different matchup. Like
it is.
Yuri has no defense whatsoever. He's reckless as fuck. Khalil is the opposite of that, and even Hill relies on his chin a lot. And we haven't really seen Khalil get rocked that much. Granted, he hasn't fought like a ton of really good strikers. I think the last KO was in the clinch against Walker, but he hasn't. He's very passive. I could see both of these guys respecting each other's power and it being a very low volume, tepid round one. They don't want to gas out, blow their load early, and cardio die at elevation. So I could see this being a very boring fight where they respect each other's power. Khalil super happy to not really do anything in his fights, let them pass by. Pereira, he's gone the distance with Bruno. He went the distance last time he was at SLC against Jan Blachowicz. He didn't even really look that good in that fight, honestly. That was the fight that I wanted to start fading, Alex, because he barely scraped by Blachowicz. I don't know, man. I've been kind of thinking about the over and Khalil Rountree money line, but
one guy that I really respect that he's not on Twitter. He loves Khalil this week. He's like plus 455, loaded up. He loves him. Yeah, he loves him.
That's surprising. I think if I'd go anywhere, it's probably Aussie joining you on some type of under. But that's really it. Honestly, I got to look into the main event a little bit more to see if I like any other prop angles.
Sadly.
Pass.
All right. Well, that's going to do it, boys. Appreciate you joining. As always, best of luck, and we will see you guys next week.